Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. It is so great to see you. Welcome to another episode of the Morning Grind. Having a great time here in the office this morning. I'm glad you're here with me. There is a lot of things going on over here in the office with me ever since last night. I've been a bit wrong-footed because of that, but in a good way, because last night I had a meeting with the manufacturer, a video meeting with the manufacturer of the action figures after last night's wind down. And ordinarily, the wind down is when things are supposed to stop. But after the wind down, had to have a meeting, different time zones, all of that. That's when it worked. Besides, want to go ahead and have it. So they were in the office. So I went ahead and had the meeting, and I'll share some of the information that they've sent to us about those. But that did mean that, then I got to bed late and then didn't get up, and I didn't heed the call to adventure this morning. So got up later today, so I feel wrong-footed. But anyway, we are here and things are good. So today's topic is going to be, I don't have the physical copy right here, but the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons World Builder book. We were talking about it in the chat before things started. Inner Light was saying that's one of one of my favorite supplements. Anyway, someplace in there. Oh, it's cool. One of my favorite supplements. Yes, it's a very hardcore book. It's got a lot of information in it. And I'm actually trying to theme different days for the morning grind. Haven't got that quite worked out yet. Need to work on the schedule. But world building is one of the things I want to do on this channel. I got 2 worlds I got to build. I think a lot of people here are interested in world building. And so this is the classic supplement on world building. And we can do like world building Wednesday, or maybe that's what we're trying out here. So that's the idea. We're going to take a look. We're going to see what is inside it. All right, okay. Traditionally, it's sip and breathe. It's sip and breathe, right? But we're going to try. I feel like the sip should probably end it. So let's do 2 deep breaths. And now let's sip. Yes, that seems like a really good way for things to go. You should sip, breathe, and sip as well. It'll improve your life. I've got a little heater on here in the office. If it's too loud, or if you're hearing noise or something like that, let me know and I can turn it off if it is distracting. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. Let's see. I saw some chats here. The accolade. I love your accolade in the background. Oh, yes. That is one of my favorite paintings, the accolade back there, and we should talk about that not today, but on a different time. We can talk about some of the different paintings that I have up in here. No, well, prints of paintings, because I tried to put things around that really inspire me. So I put that one there. Of course, I don't get to look at it because I'm here at the office, but now since I can see it on the screen too, I get it up there, and I think it conveys a lot of messaging that I really like. Oh, cannot hear the heater. Okay, fantastic, fantastic. And Trey says, for me, wrong footing is where a lot of inspiration for new ideas come from. Yeah, it can be that too. It can be that too. All right, let's get to the morning messages. Friday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Time, new episodes of The Cultists Season 2 are premiering. It's our comedy web show about modern-day Lovecraftian cultists just trying to worship Cthulhu in a world full of people who don't understand.
I attack with darkness. 40d10 psychic damage. My parents are out of the house today. I invited the guys over for a little D&D.
So do I get to cast spells?
Yes, you're a wizard.
I am?
That's my spot!
Oh, yeah? Well, why don't you come over here and do something about it?
So I'm gonna take Steve out.
How are you gonna do that?
I'm gonna cast Power Word Kill.
Kill, kill, kill!
What happened?
First they start playing Monopoly, and then they move on to Dungeons and Dragons. The next thing you know, they're worshiping demons and drowning themselves in lakes.
Can't even cast a practice spell right.
I think you're just not high enough level to cast Power Word Kill.
I will not stop until Steve is destroyed! Edith, target, conditioner, saving throw!
There's a live after party after every show with me, Heath. I'm the creator, co-writer, and producer of the show. I also play Steve, and other members of the cast and crew. Catch those live or on replay. If you need to catch up on the Cultist show, both Season 1 and Season 2 are on my YouTube channel. Just go to the playlist. Each episode is about 5 to 7 minutes long. We've also developed a social deduction and miniature game based on the Cultist that we want to launch on GameFound. Check this out. Ready for a Cthulhu Cultist party game of spellcasting and betrayal? Welcome to Ritual.
This is just our gaming group.
Indeed, but your gaming group is all you need to delve into the madness-inducing rituals necessary to summon Cthulhu. Click the link below to visit the GameFound page, follow the project, and learn more.
Dude, this is hardcore.
Ritual is a game of incantation, social deduction, and dreadful fun. To win, your band of loyal cultists must successfully complete 5 magical rituals. But watch out. Your cult has been secretly infiltrated by the sinister agents of the Yellow King.
You think the cult of the Yellow King is here?
If they can foul up 3 of your rites, then they win.
You've not been further compromised by the Yellow King, have you?
Check out the GameFound page for more about the game and for a brief rundown on how to play. GameFound is a great new platform for crowdfunding board games, and we are proud to make it Ritual's home base. When you follow the game on GameFound, you can get updates about the game's development before the project goes live. And you'll get a free Rob, High Priest of Dagon miniature in battle pose if you decide to back the game when the campaign goes live. There is even an opportunity to get an advanced copy of the rules and participate in the playtest for rules review. We'd like everyone who's a fan of the cultists to be involved.
Any cult leader would be proud to have you as their disciple.
So if you're a fan of Elder Gods and crazy fun, come and join us for Ritual. Click the link below to follow the game on GameFound today. You can get all of the links you need in the chat or in the description below. The Morning Grind is brought to you by Ravenkeep. That's the company that I set up to publish the things that we are making here on the show. Check out ravenkeep.net. You'll find merchandise from the cultists, such as mugs and coffee, as well as board games, the Goodnight Sword ebook, and the Terra Tiles pre-order. Terra Tiles are the terrain system that my brother and I developed that I'm currently re-releasing. Terra Tiles are the easiest way to get great-looking terrain on your table. They are bright and colorful and ready to play right out of the box. There's nothing to print, paint, or assemble, and Terra Tiles are large, thick, and durable, being 9 inches from point to point. That's large enough to make setting them up quick and easy, while also being the perfect size to create really varied and organic-looking terrain setups for your table. This reprint is being produced in very limited numbers, so if you want one, you need to put in a pre-order so a box will get your name put on it. The Morning Grind is also brought to you by, well, no one else right now, but wouldn't it be cool if in the future there was somebody else who wanted to sponsor the show and keep us streaming? I think it would be pretty cool. We'll just see how it goes. Stay tuned and watch this space, I suppose. But alright, that's what you need to know right now. Let's get into it. Alright, so you know, believe it or not, I can just talk, but it seems like every time I get on the live stream, I got a cough and everything. Sorry about that. So before we talk about the World Builder's Guide, I will show you some information from the behind-the-scenes look at the action figures. I feel I'm out of order with the action figures too, because I have other things to talk about. You know, this is 18 months into the action figures, right? And so I've got information on how we did the design and the development and things like that. And originally those were on a different channel. I was trying, you know, I've tried a variety of different things, and I had just an action figure channel, but that didn't work. So I've got some material on how they got to this point, but we're kind of jumping in here 18 months. But here, if you are new here, this is one of my prototypes of the Tales of Rabavania action figures. This is Sir Bors right here. This is a non-articulated prototype. He doesn't move. He's very fragile. I got to make bases for these guys, especially now that I'm picking them up quite a bit because I've had one shatter. But those are the prototypes. That's what they look like for the Tales of Rabavania. And we are now getting the articulated prototypes. The manufacturer has all of the files, and it's taken a long time for them to get it right. They had to actually build them twice. As they said, we did this once, and it was not where we wanted it to be. And action figures are such a gigantic project. I don't recommend jumping into action figures if you're trying to build your world. If you're trying to build your world, don't start with action figures. They are a big deal. So even the manufacturer had to build them out twice. So they sent me this. Oh, here we go. To go over last night before they send them to me. The next step is going to be having them come to me physically. So they're going to be shipped to me, and then we'll show them off here and evaluate them here. But we went over everything on a video call last night so that we could make sure that everything was right and before they shipped and things like that. So if this ships to me and I approve the prototype, then the next step will actually be to create the colored version of them. I've got mine painted up the way I wanted them, and I got to submit some extra color information. So we're just looking at the parts and how they fit together right here. And I'm going to go talk to Adrian as well and show him what we've got here. Because actually I had to completely start the process over, because actually at one point what Adrian had actually designed as far as articulation goes was not something that they were producing. They were trying to do something else. They came back. There were a whole bunch of compromises being made. I didn't like that. Adrian, the designer, really didn't like that, and I completely understand. And this is one of those things. It's so big, though, that if you're not going to do it right, then don't do it. I mean, it's going to be years by the time I go from the start of these action figures to the finalization of the action figures. And if you're going to spend years on a project, by the time I look at these action figures at the end of the day, when they are done and when they could, be sold or bought, and there's in a place where they could sit on a store shelf. I don't know if they'll go on a store shelf, but if they could, when they're ready at that moment, that they could do that. I want them to be perfect. So this is kind of, this is just things they wanted to show me, and also things that they wanted to talk about regarding differences in the prototype here that will not be in the final version of the action figures. I got interchangeable ears. See, we got interchangeable ears, and the ears are going to swivel around. And you can put a helmet on them. They've got their great helmet for jousting with their crest on. So they're going to have removable heads so that you pop off the head of the, the unhelmed head, and then put on their great helmet when it's time for them to enter the joust or battle, whether that's a joust of peace or a joust of war. So I think that's pretty cool. And you can see up here all the different parts that are made, the prototypes here. So you can see that we've got, the base Rabbit Knight action figure over here. Got interchangeable, swappable ears. Got interchangeable, swappable paws. That was a big thing that Adrian wanted. And I agreed that, with action figures, you've got to have two different types of hands. A lot of action figures now come with two different types of hands. Hands to do this and hands to do this. Sword hand and gun hand. So got that going. Got different weapons for him. Got the great helm and different crests. I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's so cool. I'm so happy about it. I'm so happy about it. Big project, gigantic project, but worth it. Worth it. Will be worth it. It will be worth it. All right. Trey says, the final release of the action figures could be a tier bonus people get when they buy your Rabavania RPG Kickstarter. Could be. I don't know what order all this is going to happen in. I started all these projects 18 months ago and got them going. And then for all different reasons, lots of different projects that, hit a wall, and then another project goes, and then, it hits a wall, and then you restart. I'm not sure what order things are going to come out. I've got the plush toys ready to go. Those are the prototypes. Those are ready to go. Goodnight Sword is ready for printing. We got Ritual coming up. I was afraid of this, 8 months ago or something like that. I was like, oh my God, all these projects, you got to keep working on projects, but they're going to get jammed up. And then all of a sudden things are going to happen and they're going to break loose. And now I got to sort all this order out because I don't know. We will see. Might be better. I don't know. They might be done separately. I don't know. I got to think about all that. There's so much planning to be done as well. Clarity of thought and planning. So let's go over here to the World Builder's Guide. Here we go. Oh, now you can see it. The World Builder's Guide. I remember getting this book when it first came out. There we go. I had this book when it first came out, and I remember really being enthusiastic about it because obviously world building has been something that I have been interested in for a long time. I mean, basically as long as I can remember, and even being able to put a pen on a piece of paper or a pencil on a piece of paper trying to build a world. Like I said, Tales of Rabavania, that idea had its genesis in my mind when I was in 6th grade. So here I am now trying to manifest that. So building worlds, something that I've been very interested in. And I got this book and loved it. And it does harken back to a very kind of hardcore era of gaming. It's an advanced Dungeons and Dragons accessory, and there is a lot of stuff in here. And in fact, Inner Light and I were talking in the chat, it may actually be too much. I mean, you can use all of it, but I think one of the things to do is to kind of pick and choose what's in here, because there's so much stuff in here, so much stuff that you might not actually need. You may want it. I want it, and take my time in the world building and do a whole bunch of world building stuff, but it may not be necessary to do. It's not like, I want to create a game world for people to play in. Well, I got to do all of this stuff. I got to work through this whole book in order to have a game world and be able to play. And of course, that's not true, because one of the principles that we've been working with and talking about here is that, or at least what I'm interested in, is how do you pack the most amount of fun into the smallest amount of time with the least amount of prep. Because like I was talking about, we can always think about what's the most we can possibly do. Well, the most we can possibly do is just, outrageous, right? We could do all kinds of things. So what's the most you could possibly do to create a campaign world for your friends to play in at the dinner, at the gaming table? Well, it could be going through this book and creating this massive volume and writing your whole world book that's 300 pages and things like that. That's the most you could do, and it could be awesome. But on the other hand, it might never get done. And actually, a lot of things you write down might not actually come up. So there is actually a way, the approaches to world building. Let's build what we need. Or one way to do it is to build what you need in order to create a great game for Friday night. I got 1 hour of prep. We're going to play for 3 hours. What do I need people to know in order to play in the world I'm trying to build? Deliver it, make it amazing, and then expand and grow. So work on it over time. Inner Light says DMs tend to create too much because it's fun for them. But of all the different locations, it's usually only a few scenes per adventures that the players experience. Exactly. And that's true regardless of whether it's a role-playing game, I guess probably a video game as well, I suppose. Not really, I don't know a whole lot about developing them, but I would guess it's similar. It's also the same really in books and novels, or graphic novels, or a movie or a film or a web series, that you're only experiencing a small part of it, right? And it is fun if you enjoy. I mean, I enjoy it. So do things that you enjoy. That's an important principle here on the show. So do things that you enjoy. But on the other hand, if you're trying to write the story, you can have all this world building behind it. But on the other hand, the reader is going to experience a very narrow part of that. And so that's actually why I'm separating now. For a long time, the construction of Rabavania and Theophany were intertwined as far as the story goes and the development of the world. But recently, I completely divided those and said, of course, they're in the same world. But what I need to do in order to write the books and the stories and do the web shows or whatever there's going to be, that's one thing. And then the RPG development and the campaign setting is just different. So even though they're the same world, conceptually as projects, I'm just separating them. Good morning, Gravendal Games. Good morning. Inner Light says, that's why Skyrim takes about 60 hours to complete if you want to see the whole thing. Yeah, I should probably play Skyrim. I don't play a lot of video games, but I know a lot of people who like that, and it comes up a lot, so I at least should experience, but I don't know anything about Skyrim. Theo Capist says, illusion of depth is a great phrase that I have seen many times. Yes, that is important, and I think that's thank you for bringing that up. The illusion of depth. If you're trying to get the most fun and the most impact out of the least, the illusion of depth in world building is really important in most all of those media. Yeah, in most all of those media. I mean, we think about something like Star Wars. When we think about the world building on Star Wars today, it's just incredible because it's been worked on for decades by hundreds, thousands of people, whatever it is. But how much world building was done when the original movie came out? I mean, some, right? I know that George Lucas had some of the world constructed behind it, but what was actually built for the Star Wars universe to do the first movie? Probably very small. avoiding the main quest because you want to see the world in Skyrim. I hear it's just incredible to roam around in. Trey says, when I was deep into world building, I read somewhere you only need to build the POIs, points of interest. You slowly introduce gods as they matter to the story. Yeah, I think that's a great way to go. I used to play video games. Then I took an arrow to the knee. Oh, okay. I hope you're all right. Let's go over here. All right, let's go to... This may be one of these things we have to look at on multiple days because there is so much stuff in here, but that's okay. I love world building, and I think world building is going to be an important section, like I said, of the show. So, I mean, look at all the text. You can tell this is from a different era of games too. The layout's much simpler. Just text. Okay, so DM's notebook. I like having a DM's notebook. I need to, of course, so much is done digitally now. I probably got a bunch of stuff for Rabavania and Theophany, but I used to use a Trapper Keeper when I was a kid. Might be fun to bring something like that back. So there's recommending here, sturdy folder, binder, or some other type of easily transported organizer to keep all your notes about the world. Your DM's notebook should include maps of the world, continent, kingdom. Now here we do have this world should. Okay, we were just talking about that your DM's notebook probably could include, right? Could include, because this is a big list right here. Maps of the world, continent, kingdom, city, or adventure region as required. Yeah, as required. Yeah, not all of that's required. Character sheets of major NPCs, a log or short form for minor NPCs, a record of adventurers, including treasure found, character development, and foes overcome. We started doing that with the players at the table. We're all taking notes now, and then we would have one of the players recap the last week's adventure or last month's adventure, really, because we were only playing once a month with Lou. So the players can help out with that. Up-to-date copies of the character record sheets for all the player characters of your campaign. Yeah, this is important. I suppose things are being done digitally now a lot too, but a lot of people still don't allow or do not allow technology at the table. I play both ways. I like to go one way or the other. Bring the technology or cut it. And it's back in the days of only paper character sheets. Who kept the character sheets? The players or the DM? Because sometimes the players did not bring their character sheet to the game. Notes, blah, blah. Passage of time. Lou did a lot of that. That was really nice. So we knew exactly when the holidays were coming up inside the game world. A tickler file or wish list for the PCs, noting the motivations and long-range goals of each PC. I think that's important too. Asking the players, what do they want to get out of this? Where are you going? Especially if you're going in a long-term campaign, and try to be able to give people what they want. So, in this chapter, we'll explore several basic approaches to world building. These include the microscopic, the macroscopic, the sociological, the character-based, the situation-based, the literary, and the historical approaches. I thought we were only going to have 2 approaches. So, yeah, which one of these should we define? So, or which one's right for us? Ask yourself what the hook of your world will be. What makes it special? What's this game about? Is it climate-driven campaign, such as a desert or forest world? Is it a culture-driven campaign? So I think it might be the microscopic approach. Oh, macroscopics first. Okay, so macroscopic, this approach begins with only the broadest generalizations, since you will begin by creating the gross physical features of the planet and zoom in step by step to greater levels of detail. To use this approach, simply follow World Builder's Guidebook chapter by chapter. The macroscopic approach is good for building a world when you have no particular plan in mind and want to see what you come up with. Continents and climates can be determined with random rolls as you begin to look more carefully at specified areas. You may find that the basic characteristics of the world are beginning to suggest interesting cultures or situations. This approach is also good for creating worlds with climatic theme, such as the previously mentioned desert and forest. A great portion of the Birthright campaign setting was created from the top down, although a number of considerations influenced its design. I think the microscopic approach was kind of what we were just talking about before here. In many respects, this is the opposite of the macroscopic method. In this approach, the DM starts with a dungeon, town, or similarly focused setting and works his way outward. Yeah, and that's probably a good way to go, because that's what you need if you're trying to create your own world for a game on Friday night. And you've got big ideas, but what do you really need? You probably need the town and the dungeon, right? That's right. And then build outward as the players need it. For example, if you have a great idea for a dungeon set in a volcanic mountain, your next step is zooming out. And zooming out would be to create a kingdom or region with a volcanic mountain in it, followed by the continent that surrounds the kingdom, and so on. Many campaigns are built by happenstance as fledgling DMs begin to place adventures further and further from the PC's base of operations. This approach runs backwards through the book. You will start with chapter 5 and then move to chapter 4, then 3, then 2, as you fill in the details about the world around your microscopic setting. It says Ravenloft, Forgotten Realms, and Greyhawk were all examples of campaign worlds that grew in this fashion. So we do look at the chapters, the worlds and planetology, continents and geography, kingdoms and sociology, cities and provinces, history and mythology. Yeah, this method for world building applies when you have a fragment for the world and you're trying to flesh it out. Or you could have the big ideas, but you're like, okay, we got to play Friday night, so I got to zero in here. Oh, Skyrim reference. Oh, okay. Well, you got me. Trey says, I already added this to the Discord, but Arum Create is a great take on world building. Oh, great. Yes. If you have world building resources, do we have a dedicated place for world building in Discord? Oh, let me throw out the Discord link. Here's a 1-hour invite to the Discord link. Going into the chat. If you are here joining us live, we'd love to have you. We might need a specific place for world building resources. Let me make a note of that. World building channel on the Discord server. We can put reference material in there and things like that. Inner Light says hex crawls are coming back in OSR, so DMs who love creating worlds are overjoyed sometimes. The exploration. We're going to talk about exploration at some point. I think that's an important topic because wilderness exploration, I think I want to be an important part of the things I do. Gravendal Games says, I use a Rocket Book. It's a small notebook that I can use different color ink pens and then wipe clean to reuse the page. You can also scan the pages using their app to save them. Oh, I have never heard of that. A Rocket Book. That sounds cool. Small notebook, different color ink pens, and then wipe it clean to reuse the page or scan the pages using the app. That's cool. Oh, Theo says, I have a Rocket Book too. Works great. I have never heard of this. Look up Rocket Book. Light says, I think I mainly use the history and mythology chapter in this book anymore, although the other stuff is interesting if you need to build the world the other way. Character-based approach. Let's see. Situational approach. I do want to look at, it's kind of like looking at the character sheet. One of the things that was cool about this supplement was that it came with this. Let me skip over here for just a moment to look at some of the stuff that it comes with that's like the character sheet. Whoop. Okay. Because this does come with, and this PDF. This PDF is from Drive-Thru RPG, so you get both of these PDFs when you get this. So this could be very handy. And of course, I remember having the physical prints of them, and they were very precious because, well, that was back in the day before you could just download and print stuff out. But now we've got all kinds of stuff to print out if you are a world builder. This is polar display of the world map for you to be able to plan out what the world would look like in polar, a polar projection. And then we're going what the world looks like in climate bands, tropical, subtropical, temperate, subarctic, Arctic. I've got to think about this. I'm not sure that for Rabavania, that the entire size of the planet's going to matter, but on Theophany it will. And I've got some specific ideas about how I want the actual planet to be and the world overall to be. And, having studied geography and been deep into map projections, if I've got some kind of planet that's not round, I'm going to have to really, I want to think about how to project that and map it correctly. So much stuff to think about. Now, this is the polyhedral world map that it's got. So this is probably great for hex crawling. Yeah, the major world design. I love hexes, obviously. Hexagons are my thing. So here is our like an interrupted projection of the world map. Does this make it into a D20? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So this is projecting your world onto basically a D20. You take the round world. Of course, this book does talk about if your world isn't round, but if it were round and then you compress that onto a D20, then you can unfold it, and that's what a projection is. I could talk about a lot about map projections. I won't. So what is this? This is, oh, we got more of this? Okay. Oh, several different pages. I see. But then I like this. I like this approach because then if we've got this polyhedral region map, we've got here is one of those leaves over here. So give this a number or something like this. This is macro and then moving to some section of your world. Polar display region map. Here's your, back when you needed grid paper, but here's basic grid paper. Hexagonal grid paper. This is what I thought was neat, though. Let me go to the chat and see what's going on. Gravendal says, I prefer the dotted grid pattern for the rocket book as well. It would be perfect for your daily items of squares. Yeah, yeah, probably would be. Yeah, there might be something else I could be using for this. We'll see. I don't know. I like the physicality over here, but I'll check out Rocketbook. I will see. Eventually one day, if I get a system down, I might have a notebook actually printed with just the right structure in it. Please say Theophany, the Theophany world is tetrahedral shaped. That would be cool. I don't think it's going to be tetrahedral shaped. I've got another idea for it. But I like these right here. There we go. These worksheets. This is what I remember from it. So this is like the kingdom worksheet that it comes with. So a brief map of the kingdom, culture, archetype, or flavor, primary races, secondary races, race position, situation, languages, literacy, technology level, industries, trades, arms, equipment, government systems, rulers, came to power by military strength, military system, social alignment, rebelliousness, and brigandage, and situation notes. I kind of think this is some neat structure to think about, well, on this macro level, of course, but if you're going to put something in there, what's the least I need to know? This is probably not the least you need to know. But here is like, if I'm trying to just do a kingdom in a page, so what's the least I need? Well, maybe if I just do this idea of this kingdom, I'm going to put it on one page. These are the kinds of things I can think about, and a quick map of what's going on with some type of scale. And then it also includes regions or provinces, which include region or province name, the terrain type, subsistence system, population, principal cities, and other notes. Kingdom on a page. And then also NPCs or contacts of note. Here is a hex grid with suggested symbology down here. Kingdom name again. Symbology. Kingdom. There are other things than kingdom. Kingdom. I guess they just scanned the whole pad. So area name. Again, if you need an area on one page, I like this. I remember filling these out long ago. So kingdom name, what kingdom or region this is, climate, terrain, seasons, races, culture, technology, government type, social alignment, important PCs. Now here you also get to your encounter table. Local encounter table, put that right there. Cities, towns, and villages, name, population blocks, and then layers and sites of interest. So I do think that if you're going to fill out and you're trying to go to the macro level, and you're not going to start by writing a 400-page book, but you've got multiple kingdoms, you've got multiple areas. I do think that this pad that's included with this book gives you some direction and things to think about. This city or town block, city-town block. You know, it would be interesting to fill these out. I mean, you got to start someplace, but to fill these out for something like Rabavania or positions, and then just because it's got, like I said, it's got to start someplace and then grow from there. And of course, it can change too. It can change too. City guilds, organizations, and power groups operating in the city or town. Resources and services available: food, drink, and lodging. Adventurers will definitely want to know that. Common crafts and trades, other crafts and trades. And then site. Yeah, so this is our micro level, right? Site, surrounding area, description, local rumors and stories, exterior appearance, random encounters at the site, defenses, patrols, and sentries, and then important NPCs or monsters. I like the one-page approach. Now, I think I would also add, being a writer, that like, okay, I need to, I'll provide 500 words. Just make it arbitrary. It's, you know, for something, you know, maybe some of the larger ones require 1,000 words. If you're trying to plot out the book, like, all right, I'm going to write 500 words for each city. I got 5 different cities that are important here. So you get 500 words of description, and then you get a page like this. That might be a great place to start. That would actually start building out a book in a big way. Important NPCs or monsters. So I think that was it as far as the different types of worksheets that it had. Wait, what is this? Oh, this may be the back here. So interior appearance. Well, that would make sense. If there's exterior, there's also interior. Situation and goal of inhabitants, and then a map key. So maybe that's front and back here for sites. And someplace it recommended, I think it was in here, like every place should have a secret. You know, what is the secret that surrounds this place? So that is, we'll go back over to the main book. Let's see. Christmas. Oh, what? What did I say? Don't get me anything for Christmas, but thank you. World Builder's Handbook. Okay, let's go back over here. Present. Oh, hey, Hunter. Hunter's here. Welcome. Good to see you. So, okay, so how should we tackle this book? We came up with a pretty good system for tackling the RPGs and trying to study actually how you play. But, I do kind of think it makes sense to work backwards, even though that to do the microscopic approach based on the illusion of depth and everything like that we were just talking about. It does kind of make sense, I think, to go from chapter 5 to 4 to 3 to 2. But I tell you what, we won't skip around. We'll just go through and see what's going on in order here. So it starts at the macro level. We could roll. I don't understand the rolling it up. Now, we could create, you know, it might be fun to do just a completely random world for the heck of it here and see what we roll up. But I think these tables are things to be used to augment what's already in your mind, what you're adding in, because of course, I guess, I don't know. It's just kind of weird that if you're interested in world building, you pick up this book, that you would then do all this work in a completely random world. It might be fun might be fun to see what you come up with, but I would use it to give me ideas for things to fill in. And inspiration for things that for areas that I'm not quite sure about, or, you know, haven't completely fleshed out yet. But it does have the ability to do a completely random world in here. World hook ideas. I brought some elder dice over here. So, I mean, rolling dice is fun, and rolling dice on tables are fun. So let's just do it for the sake of example here. Oh, let's see here. So what is this? Our world hook. 29. Oh, so 29 puts us in that category. We are starting, we're starting with a site of interest, which would be rolling a D8. And we got a 7. Oh, a shrine. Oh, that's pretty cool. So what we're starting with some type of shrine in our sites of interest. Yeah, good morning. Good morning. It had been a while since I've looked at it too. I used to love this book, but that's why I was like, wait a minute, what should we do for World Building Wednesday? We should take a look at this. Micro works best, I think, but it's always a good idea to know what's beyond the horizon. Yeah, if you're doing an RPG. Yeah, well, could be. You know, other times the fiction may be small. The fiction may be small. One of the stories, this happened to me, that I've been trying to figure out what stories to tell in my worlds on the story side of things, and you know, got the big world, big stories, but turns out that one of the stories, everybody's like, okay, you might need that one first. Do that one first. That's the story to tell first and to start with. It's actually rather small. It might take place entirely, as far as situation goes, it might take place in just a town. So, you know, that could be small too. Although you can add all kinds of depth to a town too. Why did it take down that? Okay, there we go. So I remember reading through all of this. Like, we got shrines, lonely sites scattered across the land concentrate some kind of unusual power or quality. By visiting the shrines, the PCs prevent some horrible event from occurring or gather the power necessary to unseat a despot tyrant or warlord. So I remember going through all these going, oh yeah, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Approaches. Post-Renaissance, gunpowder weapons and new tactical systems have ended the dominance of the armored knight. This campaign centers on nations that have reached a technology and culture advancement equal to Europe in the 16th or 17th centuries. See the historical reference, A Mighty Fortress, for more information. Oh, I don't have that one. Renaissance. It seems like a lot of D&D is just in the Renaissance kind of area. Everybody's got everything. Let's go through here. All right. So, okay, so worlds and planetology. So planetology is a pseudoscientific world for the study of planets and planetary features. I hear the word planetary science used a lot. There are planetary scientists, and I don't think that's a pseudoscientific world. Maybe we're just using maybe this was made up here. I don't know. Planetology. But all right. It combines a number of specialized disciplines: astronomy, geology, geography, ecology, climatology, and a number of other fields of learning. Generally, planetology is an effort to see the forest for a forest by looking at all the trees together rather than one at a time. All right. Much of the material in this chapter assumes that you are interested in building a fairly realistic world with few fantastic features at the planetary scale. In other words, unless you consciously decide otherwise, your world is probably going to take the form of an Earth-like planet existing in a universe where physical laws come close to our own. And that does make things easy, even if you're doing fantasy, right? Because even in Middle Earth and in Westeros, you know, there are a lot of things that are the same about Earth. You got to give your players or your readers some kind of grounding and say, hey, unless you're told otherwise, assume it's working like it works in the real world. And then that way we can emphasize when there's something that is different and fantastical about it. But in a fantastical setting, the world can be any shape or size you please. It doesn't have to be a planet. It can be a self-contained cosmos or dimension, the world inside a world, a flat plane of infinite size, or anything else you can think up. For the sake of argument, we're going to emphasize the real-world model. Planets tend to be round, weather forms are derived from realistic causes and effects, and most places a person transported from Earth to your planet wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the two until the dragon came riding along. But there are other options, which I think is interesting. Most celestial bodies in the real world are spherical due to the influence of gravity. Asymmetrical bodies are usually the result of collisions or similar catastrophes. So let's just see. World shape and form. Looks like we're rolling a percentile again. See, we do have stuff for sphere. Okay, we know about that. And then, of course, we have all kinds of technology to do mapping spheres and projecting spheres onto flat surfaces, such as a piece of paper or a computer screen, in order to work with them in a two-dimensional environment. Projections are a great thing, fun thing to get into if you're into geography. Inner surface. Now, that's interesting. Could be the inner surface of any type of shape. A plane. Your world can be a plane. And that does also make things very easy from the mapping perspective because you don't have to worry about projections. On the other hand, you may not really have to worry about projections either anyway for your dungeoneering, or your story or something like that. But if you're into it, then you do. Cylinders are also very easy for mapping and projections because if the world is a cylinder, then you just slice the cylinder at some point and then it lays flat, like along some line. You slice the cylinder down a line and then it lays flat. Self-contained dimension. This is the polyhedral world, 20-sided die. I guess if you decide that the world actually is a 20-sided world, then your worksheet that we were just looking at that has all the triangles and is the unfolded projection, that will be a one-to-one map of your world. No projection necessary. Otherwise, you got to take the sphere and project it down onto the 20-sided. And then irregular. Let's see what I roll. We got a world based on shrines. I got 40. Well, which is a sphere. Let's roll again. Okay, so this actually makes it more likely. So it's random, but they're different probabilities. 40 again. 26. 90. So on that one, I got a 90. So that means a self-contained dimension. Well, that's cool. The inner surface is the world exists on the inner surface of a sphere, ring, or polyhedron. An excellent example is the Pellucidar of Edgar Rice Burroughs. I don't know that one. Anybody know that one? Note that the horizon climbs in this world, so it may be possible to see terrain features at extraordinary distances. The map blanks work equally well for inner surface worlds. I mean, that would be cool. You're looking out, you're seeing the horizon line curve up and some other kingdom way far away. The cylinder, a mariner could sail around a cylindrical world, but an aviator couldn't use transpolar flight routes because the world only curves through 2 dimensions. You can use a flat piece of paper to map out the setting without distortion. We were just talking about that. Simply to find 2 opposing edges to wrap from one side to the other. Yeah, so that's interesting. You can circumnavigate the world this way, but you can't do it this way. We got self-contained dimension. The world is the world is the entirety of the cosmos, and nothing exists beyond it. Within this cosmos, it can take the shape of the inner surface of a sphere, an infinite flat plane, or anything else imaginable. You can ignore the world map sheets and go straight to the continent. Regional maps if you wish. Philip Jose Farmer's World of Tears series depicts a number of self-contained dimensional worlds. Oh, that's a good idea. Trey says, I would only use this. I could only see using the random world for things like Spelljammer, etc. Yeah, that might help you out. I have not played. Have I played Spelljammer, or did we just have Spelljammer? I don't think I've ever Spelljammed. But but if you're like transported to a different world and you need to know something about it, yeah, some type of random generation could work for something like that. Hunter says, drops them onto the mat and starts drawing features. Yep. We created session 0 worlds and then played them out. It was fun. We were also 12. Collaborative world building, right? So that's what that sounds like. And, something like Fate is big on that. That you could play in an existing world, but a lot of their books are also like, we're creating this game at the same time we're creating this world. Mystara is an inner surface. I did not know that. Self-contained dimension Ravenloft. Yep. That reminded me that there was this planet guide in the old Spelljammer book that talked about extreme worlds. It was interesting to explore the extremes. Hunter also says, I like Spelljammer. There was often a way to nope out of it. There was often a way to just nope out of it and just fly on. As a DM, it was challenging. Every world is initially inviting. Cylindrical. Most computer 4X games are cylindrical worlds, Master of Magic, Civilization, etc. That is a great point. That if you're just looking at a flat map, but if you go left and right, then you end up on the other side of the map, but you can't go north to south, right? You just hit the top or hit the bottom, right? But if you can go left and right and end up on this side, east and west, then you're on a cylindrical world. That's actually kind of like the Risk map as well. So on Risk, you can't do anything polar. You can't do a polar navigation, send your armies on a polar expedition, right? To come back to the other side of the world that way. But you can go from Kamchatka over to North America, right? So that kind of implies a cylindrical orientation of that world. Hunter says, I'm having a lot of fun with Spelljammer, contrary to the naysayers' experience. Yeah, I have not bought that book. I might have to check it out because, like I said, I can't remember. I don't think I've ever actually played Spelljammer. I think the box was just sitting around and I investigated it. But yeah, I hear just seeing things go by on YouTube that whatever just came out was controversial about it. Mystara is actually two worlds connected at certain points, the outer world and the inner surface world, and an inner sun. Interesting. So after you decide the shape of the world, you should determine an appropriate size. Don't worry about issues such as mass, gravity, or density. It's a fairly safe assumption that the natives of your world are perfectly accustomed to the gravity and they have no adjustments to their movement rates or ability scores due to unusually heavy or light gravity. If you would like to worry about those kinds of things, then GURPS Space might be for you. We're going to have to look at GURPS Space. There's a lot of there is a lot of like the planetology that they're calling right here. Planetology design, random stuff in GURPS Space, if I recall. The more important issue from the world builder standpoint is the amount of surface area provided by a world of a given size. As a model, you might want to follow the Earth is about 8,000 miles in diameter with a circumference of nearly 25,000 miles. An adventurer attempting circumnavigation of the globe on foot would walk for almost 5 years to complete his journey if he could average 15 miles in a day and he never had to turn aside to avoid oceans, mountains, or other forms of impassable terrain. And this is an important part about how little you're going to see and how little you actually need to build out, right? Because in that case, and at the end of that time, he would have only explored a belt of terrain as wide as his field of vision, only viewing an infinitesimally small portion of the Earth's surface despite his years of travel. He could repeat the trip 100 times and still have seen less than 1 or 2% of the world. An imaginary world that is only a fraction of Earth size is still quite sufficient for your adventures. So, well, we got, let's just roll because rolling is fun. So another percent, 29. These dice are big on 20s. So we got a world with a planetary size of 4,800 miles, which means our hex size on the world map would be 300 miles and the hex size on the region map would be 60 miles. So, cool. So our world would be smaller, if we're randomly generating it, would be smaller than the Earth, but still plenty of time, plenty of space. Sun, moon, and stars, and hydrography. I don't know if we have time to get into that. I think this is definitely going to be a book we're going to be coming back to. So maybe we should just stop. We just went through planetary size. Next time, on some other episode, we can pick up there and keep going. But we can also do other approaches to world building as well. But if you enjoyed this and you want to take a look at this book, this is a really great book. And I just got it from Drive Through RPG. So this is a really great scan of it too. See, that makes me excited. I want to lay that out for world building on hexagons. Let's see. Hunter says, I remember when I learned about map projections, I was painting Toril, Forgotten Realms, on my bedroom wall. Cool, cool. Using Karen Wynne Fonstad's Forgotten Realms Atlas, which was gridded. Then I found empty squares. I got a story about that before we close out here. I don't have Karen Wynne Fonstad's Forgotten Realms book, but I got this years and years ago for Christmas. This was one of my favorite Christmas gifts because I was so into the Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth. And so this is Karen Wynne Fonstad's Middle Earth Atlas. And of course, it's great. And of course, it's also been discussed to death. But like, here's her, maps. If you haven't seen, maps detailing all kinds of things about Middle Earth. And now she was also into geography. So it says on the back here, she's a noted cartographer who has her master's degree in geography from the University of Oklahoma and has taught geography at the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh. And obviously has done work on a bunch of different fantasy worlds, which is pretty neat. But I was talking to one of the department head who was, I believe it was in human geography class I was taking. He was the head of the geography department. And for some reason, Fonstad came up and he was like, oh yeah, I know her. They were graduate students together, or I don't think it was roommates, but they were students together while she was working on this stuff. And he was talking about, being in geography class and studying geography. So with her, and she had all the notes and stuff for all the fantasy worlds out in her, maybe it was at her, apartment or in her office, if it was a graduate student and stuff like that, while she was working all of this. So I was like, that would have been cool. That would have been cool to have actually known her and see what all of her notes were and things like that when all of this world building and stuff was going on, because, that was combining my love of geography and, the fantasy kind of stuff, also with the technical components of geography. And I thought it was really interesting. So I was like, oh, look, an actual professional connection to the fantasy world. All right, well, let's wind this up. If you are new here, the way we end the show is by planning out what we were trying to do for the rest of the day so we can hold ourselves accountable at the wind down at the end of the evening. And we want to plan out what it would take for us to have a good day by the end of the day. We got about 10 hours or whatever to try to get stuff accomplished. Don't forget, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. So let's go over here.
I manage my department, and I've been doing that for several years now.
Your department's just you, right?
Yes, Jim, but I am not easy to manage.
So, notes from the meeting last night. So I've got my index card. I want to come up with I wrote a script for, the philosophy here and how to use the system if you are just new, but I think a lot of people have been here before. So I'm just going to go over this quickly. So I got my partial index card. I got 3 things I want to get done today during all of the time. Trying to move big rocks. We want to be able to say that we are MBR. We have moved big rocks by the end of the day and at the live stream on the wind down. So my big rocks that I would really like to be able to get done is to send out Ritual. I got version 0.7 done. I want to send out Ritual 0.7 to all of the playtesters. So that will be going out by email if you are on the playtest list. And then I'm still working. The next big task will be to try to find some way to do some online playtesting, because that would be cool. I know people want to play, but you might not have groups. So online playtesting would be great. I also need to publish or schedule 10 YouTube videos. I've got different videos that are not either clips of the live stream or are other videos that I want to get out, like behind the scenes stuff and interviews with the cast for the cultists. that need to get published. They get uploaded, but then trying to do a thumbnail for them and things like that, that's taking a while. And I like to be able to put a video out at about 2:30. I have a slot where if I publish something, it'd be about 2:30. And I'd like a video to go out, but we may need more to go out. I don't know. So if you're subscribed and looking for videos and things like that, in the coming days, hopefully clips and other YouTube videos will be going out that is not the live stream. So, and then also, I said, don't forget Thanksgiving is tomorrow. So I need to prep for Thanksgiving because I like to be the uncle who brings pellet guns to family gatherings. So I want to make sure that I, bring them over for Thanksgiving lunch tomorrow with the nieces and nephews. So I got to make sure that the pellet guns are loaded, they're CO2, they're put in the car, everything like that. That way we can have a good time on Thanksgiving, because I don't be running around here in the morning trying to gather all that stuff up. Yep, I will be streaming tomorrow. And then as soon as I end here, we'll have to end on time tomorrow, because as soon as I leave here, my goal will be to walk out the door and then go have Thanksgiving lunch with the family. So I will be here on Thanksgiving. But if you're not, hey, go out and got my stepmom that one for Christmas one year. It's in the same style and it's awesome. Yeah. Talking about the atlases. There's also one for a Dragonlance one. Yeah. I think she lists out here. Pern, Dragonlance, the Atlas of the Land, and the Forgotten Realms Atlas. Yeah, she did lots of work. So, all right. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll see you tomorrow. If you're here, I'll be here. But go have a wonderful Thanksgiving prep. Go out there. Hopefully do some gaming. Maybe you do some gaming tomorrow with family or whatever. But otherwise, enjoy being with family or otherwise people who you want to be with on the holidays. So bye, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.